Now, Adam and Eve needed a place to live with all the animals, right? Actually, let's leave the animals back up there. Let's leave the animals up here. Okay. Needed to,
Why do we
Yeah.
have to leave those?
yeah.
How about you gotta mix them up with boxes?
They needed a place to live. So God made a special place for them.
Hey,
He made a wonderful garden. Yeah, Mara.
just pretend we're in there, okay? We're in that story.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. Do you see this picture? This picture was drawn by Anna Valadares, 13. She lives in Washington, D.C. Look at that. Now, God made a special garden for Adam and Eve and the animals to live in. Okay? Do you remember the name of the garden? Garden of Eden. That's right. Okay. And it was a wonderful place, a wonderful place. And he also created trees so that people can eat the trees. Now, what kind of fruit trees do you like? What kind of fruit do you like to eat?
I know.
Yeah,
Apples.
apples,
Pink.
peaches,
Oranges.
oranges. Can you see
Raspberry.
what is this? What are those?
Banana.
Bananas, that's right. And he made all kinds of fruit trees, and he made sure that Adam and Eve, when they're taking care of the babies,
Animals.
he made sure that they knew that they had all this grain. See, they had the trees that they could eat, and they could eat nuts, and they could eat all kinds of things. Okay? And the reason they did that is because all the animals at the time, even the lions and tigers, you know what they had for food?
Grass.
They ate grass just like the cow did. Okay? And so nobody ate meat at that time. So they had this wonderful garden to go into, and they could go anywhere and eat anything in the garden. And then God put 2 trees in the middle of the garden. Ava, one of those trees was called the tree of life, and it was in the middle of the garden. The other tree was the tree of the knowledge of good and bad. Okay? And those were right in the middle of the garden. All right? So the Garden of Eden was green and lush, and the river ran right through it so we could water it, and everything was wonderful. Now, which one of these animals would you like to have for a pet?
I know. I want a little fish.
Wait a second, Mara.
I wanted a little puppy.
You want a little puppy, okay. I always thought it'd be nice to have a lion as a pet.
A little fishy.
You want a what?
Little fishy.
Little fishy for a pet.
Kind of like.
Yeah. How about you, Ava? What did you like?
I want a little duck.
You want a what?
A duck.
A skunk. All right.
No, I said duck.
Oh, a duck. Oh, well, is that the duck? Right there. Yeah. Gee, where did I get skunk from duck? Okay. But you know what? Then something happened. Adam and Eve made a big mistake.
They ate the bad tree.
They disobeyed God. That was their mistake. But you're right. They made a mistake. They made a big mistake.
Jesus
Because
said
they only had one rule in the garden.
to go back home.
No, the rule was, is you do not eat the fruit from that tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and bad. That was the only rule they had. And God said, if you, no. God said, if you ate from that tree, you would die. Now, if your mommy and daddy told you, you eat that tree, you eat fruit from that tree, you're going to die, would you eat fruit from that tree?
No.
No, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. But that was their mistake. So you know what happened?
They got kicked out of the garden.
Yeah, they did. Now, look at this picture. This was done by Tiffany Babick 11 from Los Alamos, New Mexico. Now, who's this down here?
Eve.
Eve, it's Eve. Yeah, it could be Adam. They could have drawn Adam. And what is this thing?
The snake.
Snake, yeah.
walks.
Yeah, but look at that. Snake has what?
Feet.
It's got legs on that snake. Oh, and this says, ye shall not die. That's right. That's right. And that old snake, the devil, he goes to Eve and whispers in Eve. Actually, he didn't whisper, he just tells Eve. He says, did God tell you you would die if you ate that fruit? You're not going to die. In fact, if you eat that fruit, you're going to be like God. So what did Eve do?
Ate it.
Shh, that's right. So Eve went over and she takes that fruit off that tree and she takes a bite and she eats it and she doesn't die. So she turns and she gives it to Adam. Wait a minute. You mean Adam was standing there the whole time and never said anything? Didn't say, Eve, don't eat it. Don't eat it, Eve. Remember what God told us? No, Adam didn't say that. Eve takes it, hands it to Adam. What did Adam do with it?
Ate it.
He took a big bite too. And you know, the minute they took that bite, they knew something had changed. You know what would have changed?
Yeah.
There was a big sadness that came over the garden and over Adam and Eve. A big sadness. And God came down. Now remember, God is a just God. And God is a merciful God. So he had to punish Adam and Eve for disobeying. So you know what he did? He took Adam and Eve and he said, you have to go out of the garden. You have to leave the garden. And he said, as long as you were in the garden, you wouldn't die. But since they had to leave the garden, eventually they would die. So then God, he looks at that old snake, that devil, and he says, because you did this, I am going to make you crawl on your belly for the rest of your life and eat dust. And you're going to eat dust, and you and Eve, or the woman, they are going to be enemies forever. Forever. The end. But God didn't want to end it there. He goes over, he whispers to Adam and Eve, and he says, you know what? I'm going to come back to earth, and I'm going to remove that sadness from the world. I'm going to remove the sadness from the Garden of Eden. So when did he come back and remove that sadness? Do you remember? Connor? Mara? Eva? We celebrate it every year.
On Christmas.
On Christmas, that's right. Christmas. That's when God came back. He came back to the earth. And he came as a baby, the baby Jesus, Mary and Joseph in Bethlehem. And he lived a perfect life. And then he paid the price by going on the cross and dying. And we celebrate that day too, remember? It's called Easter. That's when we celebrate Easter, when Jesus rose from the dead. And he's up there and he's making heaven. He's preparing heaven for us. And then he's going to come back down and he'll take that sadness, huh?